Am I making the right decision to do what I'm going to do? She want to do it. She don't want to do it.
Her roommate came outside asking why. Deputies say she claimed it was, quote, too much humiliation. This video shows a transaction Marie Jean says she'll never forget. 26-year-old Esther Thelus just minutes before setting herself and their 2 kids.
Unfortunately, I have not been able to find photos of Davinci. However, his story still deserves to be told. If I am able to locate pictures later on, I will update the thumbnail and include them in update videos. Also, if you are in possession of photos and would like them included, please submit them to blackhonored@gmail.com, or you can send them to @blackhonored on any of our social media accounts. On the evening of August 26, 2024, Orange County, Florida became the site of a heart-wrenching catastrophe that claimed the life of an infant and left several others severely scarred. Around 6:30 p.m., first responders were dispatched to a house fire on Hiawassee Oaks Drive. Upon arrival, they encountered a horrifying scene. 26-year-old Esther Thelus and her 2 young children were found suffering from extensive burns. Despite the best efforts of emergency personnel, sadly, 9-month-old Davinci Joseph, who bore the brunt of the flames, would succumb to his injuries nearly 2 months later. The investigation soon revealed that the fire was not an accident, but a deliberate act allegedly carried out by Thelus herself. In the weeks leading up to the incident, Esther faced increasing emotional strain, largely surrounding custody issues with her 2 children, each of whom had different fathers. The primary conflict centered around her 2-year-old son, whose alleged father, JeffersonMignon, had previously expressed reservations about accepting full custody without proof of paternity. Thelus had communicated to the man that she intended to move to Fort Lauderdale with her 9-month-old son, Davinci, hoping he would take responsibility for the older child. However, Mignon and his family demanded a DNA test to verify paternity, leaving Thelus with both children in her care and a heightened sense of personal and emotional turmoil. On the morning of August 26, 2024, she made one final attempt to leave her 2-year-old with Mignon, believing it would allow her to move forward with her plans for a fresh start. She brought her son to the man's home and reiterated her intention to relocate with Davinci. Nevertheless, the response from his family remained consistent. Without a DNA test to confirm his biological connection, they were unwilling to assume custody. Unable to proceed with her relocation plans and feeling what she would later describe as overwhelming humiliation, Thelus returned home, her emotional distress now increased by the perceived rejection. Shortly thereafter, carrying a sense of urgency, she visited a nearby 7-Eleven convenience store where her actions raised the suspicions of onlookers. Surveillance cameras later captured her as she entered the store carrying a clear plastic container, unusual for gasoline purposes. She approached the clerk and requested to fill the container with gasoline. This request immediately caught everyone in the store's attention, and the store clerk felt a sense of unease over Thelus's choice of container and demeanor. Another customer noticed the situation and stepped in, offering Thelus a proper gas canister for safe handling. The woman accepted the offer, switching containers, and continued with her purchase of gasoline. Afterward, she proceeded to buy a lighter, completing her transaction with what seemed like calm determination. The clerk later reflected on the woman's behavior, recalling that she appeared focused, if somewhat distant, as if internally preoccupied. The store clerk struggled with guilt, haunted by the knowledge that the materials she provided had been used in such a devastating act. Neither the clerk nor the other customers knew of Esther's plans or the tragic events that would soon follow, but the unusual nature of her request for gasoline in a water container and her subdued but intense demeanor left an impression. As she left the store with the gas can and lighter in hand, she set the final stage for the heart-wrenching incident that would later unfold at her home. When she returned home, Esther gathered her 2 children and took them outside. It was then that her roommate's daughter, taking out the trash, witnessed a dreadful sight. Esther and her 2 young children engulfed in flames. Shocked and horrified, she cried out for help, alerting neighbors who rushed to the scene in an attempt to smother the flames with towels.
Her roommate came outside asking why. Deputies say she claimed it was, quote, too much humiliation.
Despite their immediate response, the burns inflicted were severe, especially for young Davinci, whose injuries covered nearly 90% of his small body. The infant was unresponsive as paramedics arrived, requiring resuscitation en route to the hospital. Thelus herself sustained burns on over half her body, while her 2-year-old's injuries were relatively minor in comparison.
Am I making the right decision to do what I'm going to do? I think that's what she's telling herself, because she wants to do it, she don't want to do it.
This video shows a transaction Marie Jean says she'll never forget. 26-year-old Esther Thelus just minutes before setting herself and their 2 kids on fire using gasoline. She says Thelus came into her 7-Eleven store, the clear jug in her left hand, an immediate red flag.
She was telling another guy in Creole that, hey, when between gas, I need gas. And the guy like, you can put gas in that in that water, bottled water.
Another customer offered to help get her a gas container, not knowing the horrors to follow.
Upon reaching the hospital, medical personnel frantically stabilized Davinci, though his prognosis remained grim. Doctors informed law enforcement that his injuries were so severe that they did not expect him to survive. Nevertheless, Davinci fought nearly 2 months in his short life, hanging precariously as his body struggled to overcome the damage inflicted that evening. Following the incident, Esther was intubated due to her extensive injuries, while her 2-year-old son was treated and soon released with the expectation of a full recovery. As she remained hospitalized, investigators from the Orange County Sheriff's Office began piecing together the events that led to the fire. Initial suspicions were heightened by evidence gathered at the scene, including the gas can, lighter, and a burnt towel found in the driveway. Esther's roommate revealed that the woman had previously expressed frustration over her situation and the perceived humiliation surrounding her attempt to relinquish custody of her older child.
Thelus' roommate said she took her 2-year-old son to his alleged father's house to give him up so she could move to Fort Lauderdale. The man and his mother both denied they were Thelus' child's father and asked her to get a DNA test first. Deputies say after some time passed, the man's mother brought the 2-year-old back to Thelus' house. Then investigators say Thelus went to the store just minutes away.
Thelus' trip to the gas station was further scrutinized, with the store's surveillance footage providing critical insight into her preparations on the day of the incident. The image of her purchasing gasoline with a calm, almost calculated demeanor painted a chilling picture, corroborating detectives' belief that the fire had been premeditated.
As soon as she left the store, it was not even I would say not even an hour when the officer came and talked to me.
When questioned about her motivation, Esther allegedly cited feelings of humiliation and despair as driving factors, confirming a mindset consumed by emotional turmoil. As the news of the tragedy spread, those who had interacted with Esther in the days leading up to the incident expressed a sense of helplessness, wishing they could have somehow prevented the outcome.
Marie says she wished she could have done something to prevent this.
I suffer bad PTSD, and that happened in my store. I cannot feel bad because everything was provided from my store.
Community members also began discussing the importance of mental health resources, recognizing that the internal struggles faced by individuals like Thelus could have tragic consequences if left unaddressed. While some residents expressed shock over the extreme nature of the woman's actions, others pointed out the need for empathy and understanding of the intense pressures that can lead a person to such a breaking point.
Deputies say Esther Thelus killed her baby and tried to kill her toddler because she'd been, quote, humiliated. Deputies say this chilling surveillance video shows a woman intent on murdering her young children. You can see Esther Thelus standing at the counter buying a red gas canister and the lighter deputies say set her children and also herself on fire. Africa Cornelius, who's familiar with the tragic incident, says it's heartbreaking.
I wasn't here when it happened, but hearing that somebody would have to set themselves on fire just shows you how hard life can get, but it's never that deep for you to take it to that extent. Especially with a baby, that's actually crazy to me. Personally, I don't agree. No matter how hard life may get, keep the kids out of it. The kids don't deserve it. If it was me, if I had a child, to get back at me, to set my child on fire, that's kind of crazy.
With the investigation underway, formal charges were filed against Esther for first-degree fatality and attempted first-degree fatality. As of this video, she remains in intensive care. However, her pre-trial hearing was scheduled, marking the beginning of a lengthy judicial process. What began as a dispute over custody turned into a terrible sequence of events, revealing the complexities of family tensions and the depths of personal struggle. As Esther Thelus faces the consequence of her actions, the community reflects on the fragility of human resilience and the innocence of those caught in turmoil. I would like to take this time to say, when I began this channel, the focus was to honor the lives of children who, you have seen, if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, you have seen some of the tragic cases that I cover. And my goal was not just to be, and it remains, to be clear, not just to be a channel which is focused on true crime. It is also to honor these lives and to be respectful to the families. I tell these stories in a way in which I try my very best to leave my personal feelings out of it. So very now and again, very seldom, I am compelled to. And that's often a build-up of all the times that I have not. So I say that to say, when I tell these stories, I simply try to keep it based on what has been made public, whether it be by law enforcement, family, whomever. I try to keep it factual as well. I am just simply saying my lack of input is not me giving an opinion. It is not me endorsing. It is not me making an excuse. It is not any of those things. But it is my intention to continue to bring you these stories. So be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below letting me know your thoughts.
But the kids did not ask to be born. I will whether you call GCF or go to the fire department, drop the kids, say you can't no longer provide for them instead of doing something like that.
May the family and friends of Davinci Joseph find solace in the happy memories, and may his soul rest in perpetual peace. Thank you.